So it actually finally happened to me. I actually broke the screen on my Google Pixel Fold. And it's been a very interesting journey getting it fixed and or replaced. And so in today's video, I kind of want to talk about what that experience has been like and what you can do if this happens to you. So first off, let me start by saying that when the Google Pixel Fold came out, I was actually very excited to get it. I actually have been thoroughly enjoying this device, and I was probably one of the earlier ones to receive it. In fact, I actually got it on release day. It showed up to my house right on time on release day. So I've been using the mess out of this device since I got it. But about 3 weeks in, I actually had an experience that was very similar to an article that came out like 4 days after the Google Pixel Fold was released about someone who had their Fold actually break. And I'm talking about the interior screen. So as you can see here on my screen, I have this white line that goes right across the bottom. Even when the display is off, if I turn it on, white lines still persist. I actually tried to restart and reboot the phone a couple of times, and that didn't do it. So what I actually found out was the issue was very similar to what this individual had. In fact, if you look at the bottom right-hand corner, there was a small piece of metal that got lodged in between the screen protector and the edge of the bezel. And so naturally, when I closed it shut, it embedded itself into the screen and actually killed those pixels. So yeah, I was pretty upset and pretty disheartened when that actually happened. In fact, as a result of that, the whole left side of the screen actually doesn't work, just the right side here. And I had to do some kind of like geometry and flipping it all around just to be able to get through a regular day and somewhat get the inner display to work. But I mean, it's a foldable. You don't really want to have to just reside to using the outer display, which, I mean, the outer display is great, but you get a foldable because you want to be able to open it. So naturally, I wanted to be able to do more with this device, and I'm like, I got to get this fixed. Where can I go to get this fixed because it's so new? And so this is what I did. First thing I did was I contacted Google, and what Google told me was the device was still under warranty and I could just take it to a U-Break iFix. I believe that's what it's called, right? U-Break iFix or U-Break iFixit, one of the two. But I could take it in there and they would replace the screen under warranty, no problems. And as long as the device wasn't damaged, meaning like it hadn't been dropped or I hadn't submerged it in water or anything like that. So I went into a U-Break iFix and I said, hey, I got a brand new Google Pixel Fold. Google told me that if I give it to you guys, you will inspect it. You'll be able to fix the display for me. Well, the guy immediately says, let me go to the back because I don't think that I have parts for that phone with it being so new. So I wait a little bit. He comes back and he tells me, he says, well, yeah, Google hasn't even given us any direction or guidance on how to fix this device. And they also haven't even given us parts for how to fix this device. Now, mind you, we're a little bit over a month and like getting close to like a month and a half since its release, and maybe some of that has changed. But as of a couple weeks ago, that wasn't the case. So yeah, that was a bummer. I contacted Google and said, hey, U-Break iFix says that they don't have the parts to actually fix this device. They haven't actually received any guidance from Google itself. Like, what are my other options? I actually called multiple locations and they even told me, they said, well, if I really wanted to get it fixed, what I could do is they could order it. They could order the parts. One of them said that they could get them there within a couple of weeks, but it would cost me like $1,000 just to fix the inner display. So I mentioned that it was under warranty. He said, oh, well, that changes things completely. Well, it wouldn't be $1,000 repair, but it still would take a couple weeks for it to come in. So what I did next is I contacted Google again. I said, hey, this is the situation. And I just was very polite on the chat. I mean, sometimes we kind of get into this mode where we kind of feel entitled and we're like, hey, this shouldn't happen, which I agree to some extent. But I mean, we had a nice, pleasant conversation. Google said, I'm so sorry that that happened to you. What we'll actually do is we will ship you a replacement device. Well, if you haven't received a Google Pixel Fold yet, or if you received it earlier on, you know that part of the issue was a huge like supply chain issue that Google was having. And so it took a while for people to get their actual devices in hand. In fact, I remember ship dates were getting pushed out. Even when I got mine, I wasn't even sure that I would receive it on release day. So I wasn't too confident about that. So Google said that I was clear for a replacement. They would ship me one and I should just wait a couple of days. I should get an email with the tracking information, things of that nature. Well, that didn't happen right away. So 10 days go by. I stayed in constant contact with Google, just trying to check and make sure that everything was still okay. They said, hey, we're going to try to find you a new unit. And they worked pretty diligently. In fact, within 10 days, they said, well, hey, look, we don't have any Pixel Folds on hand right now. Just please be patient with us. We will ship you a replacement unit, and hopefully you should be able to go on with your life. I remained patient, and like the next day, they got me a replacement unit to my house. Like from the time that I finished on chat with them to the time that I actually received it was like less than 24 hours. So I actually have to give kudos and props to Google for the way that they handled that. Once they actually got a unit in their possession to ship to me, I mean, it didn't take long for it to get to my house at all. So that was actually pretty cool that they did that, being that my phone was covered under warranty, and I also do have the insurance on it, which I'll talk about in a moment. But yeah, so brand new Pixel Fold in hand, also rocking the official case for it this time, which I've really been enjoying, but we'll talk about that more when we actually get to the review. And also rocking that Android 14.1 beta on the Pixel Fold, which we'll also have to talk about in another video. But yeah, that's been my experience. So just to make you guys aware, I mean, this is something that will probably show up. Just be very conscious about checking the bezels, checking for any foreign objects or anything like that. This bezel here, when you close it, it's actually magnetic. So because of that, like small pieces of metal, they actually can adhere themselves to the bezel and then work their way into the device. And obviously, because this closes flat, well, it could cause some issues like it did for me. I did ask Google why the screen protector doesn't go right up to the edges, and unfortunately they just gave me like the basic answer that was, hey, the screen protector is part of the display, please do not remove it, you could void the warranty, blah 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 blah. But I really think that Google needs to take a look at that, because the simple fact that it doesn't go right to the edge is where it's causing issues with like things getting lodged in between the bezel and the edge of the screen protector, and it could potentially cause an issue for a lot of people. So I would hate to see that happen to anybody else. I mean, obviously, because it's so new and because of my situation, I was able to get a replacement, but I mean, you may not be as fortunate. So here's what I would recommend if you have a Google Pixel Fold. First things first, I would say get the insurance on it. Usually I do not get insurance on my phones, but because this one is an $1,800 phone, I would say get insurance on it. That way, if you do break the display and it's out of warranty, well, you at least cover your bases and you can get it repaired for a fraction of the cost. I mean, it's $1,000 to get that interior screen fixed. So I would definitely say get the insurance. The second thing I would say is if you work in some kind of field, or if you're like prone to having things in your pocket, dust, little pieces of metal, things of that nature, just be cognizant of that. What I actually ended up doing is getting like a little pouch that I could put this device in, which I know seems very unnecessary, but just having that pouch to keep like dust out. This device is not dust proof. It's water resistant, but it's not dust proof. It's IPX8, I believe. So obviously that's going to be an issue with foldables until they come up with some better hardware to actually combat that. But yeah, maybe just be cognizant. Look inside your screen. Like if you're about to close it, I know we just sometimes slam it shut out of habit, but just kind of inspect and make sure there's nothing in there so that when you close it, you don't have the same issue I had. In fact, I also think there's a defect in the screen here as well. They say this device is supposed to hold up to, I think, 400,000 folds, but I've already got a crack that's going down the center of this device. So I think this is actually a busted unit. I haven't had any issues with my new display or my new Pixel Fold. I mean, it's been actually pretty good so far, but that remains to be seen, so we'll see. But that's been it for this video. Let me know down in the comments, have you had a similar experience, or what are your thoughts about that? I know that many people say that Google is notorious for having bad customer support, but that was not my experience. In fact, I've been using Google products for quite some time, and typically I have not had a bad experience. And shout outs to Google for actually being pretty awesome in working with me to get a replacement unit. So I really appreciate that. But as I said, that's been it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace.